Today on Our Voice, we are thrilled to have Cherie Buckner-Webb with us. Thank you for joining us.
I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. And I just want to read a little bit of your resume here. Idaho's first African-American state senator, a keynote and inspiring speaker, a gospel singer, a jazz singer, and you have a graduate degree in social work. So tell us something that we don't know about you.
I am one of the happiest grandmothers in the world. I have a granddaughter that's 5 years old that is just my greatest joy.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that,
Sure
really. It really doesn't. So we have a lot to cover. You're a fifth generation Idahoan.
Yes.
And so, you know, from when you grew up until now being a state senator and everything in between. And what I wanted to ask you about first is when you were 7 years old, your family had a life-changing experience one day. Tell me about that.
I'm going to tell you that I don't know that it was life-changing. I didn't think I knew that until it was much later.
Okay.
But across this burn in our front yard, we'd moved to the north end about a year earlier. And one night while we were having dinner, for no reason, my mother got up from the dinner table, went outside and saw what she thought was a fire in the neighbor's yard across the street. And when my father ran out to go help, he noticed it was in our front yard and it was across.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had to be so impactful. How did that impact you growing up?
As a child, I was surrounded by lots and lots of families, grandparents, aunts and uncles. Everybody just, you know, it seemed to really spoil us rotten after that. Didn't know what the implication was from that until I was much older. My mother, on the other hand, said, "They're late. We've been here a year. They're late." And she put it on the front porch to display. And the police were around and that kind of thing. But it wasn't until I was much older that I realized what the significance of a cross on our front yard was. And I think it was a catalyst for many things in my life.
Right, which I'm sure one of them leading you to become a state senator.
Perhaps,
So what's that been like being a state senator?
It's really a wonderful adventure, if you will, because I think that at the time of my life that I became a representative first for 2 years,
Okay.
Lots of things that had happened in my life prior really prepared me for that role. Not only the event when I was 7 years old and then going to college and then having children and working in corporate environments for 20 years in lots of different disciplines, timber and wood products, startup e-commerce companies, and at high-tech firms. All of those things prepare you because we are a citizen legislature. So we must understand the needs and desires of our communities as a whole. And that gave me lots of entree to a lot of things. And the activist in me, partially stimulated by the cross in the front yard, and my very activist mother came together to make a perfect storm for me to run for office.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask is what's the most significant lesson you've learned as a senator, but it sounds like it's almost the other way around, that all the lessons in life of all the different things you've done kind of led you to have the expertise to do that.
You know, one of the things that's really interesting, I believe one of the things that I've learned a lot is possibility thinking. All things are possible. Mm-hmm. All things are possible.
I like that.
And we get a little bit timid about doing things. And so one of my mother's credos was disturb the peace. And when she said disturb the peace, if there's inequity, if there's something that doesn't seem appropriate, education was really the stimulation for me to run for office.
Okay.
Because our education funding had been cut and cut and cut and cut, and I was worried about our children in a great way and our teachers. So I need to disturb the equilibrium that we've been going through for year over year and disturb the peace and say, no, this isn't appropriate. We've got to do something.
I know that you're also an advocate to encourage other women to get involved in public service and run for office. So can you speak a little bit about why that's so important to you?
You know, women have been involved in public service for a lifetime, but often not formally.
Okay, right.
And when I look at our legislature, there's some wonderful people working in our legislature, and I give them all honor and respect. But we need the voice of women in that body. We are 50% of the population. Our view of the world and our approach to world issues are different. We understand our state in a different way, and our voice needs to be heard.
I like that. That's possibility thinking.
There you go.
Right there.
There you go.
So what's one step if there's a woman watching right now and she's like, you know, I might like to get involved, but I have no idea how to start?
Well, the first thing to do, give me a call. That would be fine. Call any woman that I know, and I bet that there are a million people, men and women, who will tell you what the process is like, and we'd be glad to help you do that. Women are involved on school boards. Women are on PTA boards. Women are doing all those things. They're already halfway there.
Okay.
They're already halfway there,
So
and they need to realize the talents that they have are transferable to the State House.
You know, the conversation in our country right now, a lot of it is centered on race.
Well, I'll tell you, we are all a product of our history. And the history in the United States has been very much white, male-centric. I mean, that's the dominant culture, and that's not negative. We've done amazing things
Right.
Under the helm of white male-dominated culture. And yet there is room for more. We must honor our heritage and those that are often not included when we look at our history. Let me tell you, black folks were there, Native Americans were there, Chinese folks were there were people from every race and hue that have been engaged. And we mustn't negate their contribution. And going forward, we must include them in the conversation and include them in what's going to make our country really the country it can be going forward.
Right.
We can't rest on our laurel.
Yeah, I like that. Honor our heritage.
Yeah.
I really like that. Well, thank you so much, Cherie.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's
This
been great.
Has been inspiring, and you inspire people on so many levels. So I appreciate you bringing that to our voice. And
thank you. I love to be on your voice. The voice is what matters. Thank you.
amen. Amen.